5 years ago, I took the plunge and moved to Canada. And while it's been an incredible journey, there are definitely things I wish I had done differently, including the actual decision to move to Canada. Having felt out of sync with my own country's ideologies, I believed that adapting to Canadian culture would be straightforward. I thought my relatively Western mindset would give me an edge. Oh boy, was I wrong! There are many layers to culture and adaptation, and what seems easy and straightforward on the surface actually has a lot more layers to it the more you immerse into the new society. I quickly learned that while Canadians are generally welcoming, there are subtle yet significant cultural nuances that make your assimilation more challenging than you could expect. From workplace expectations to social norms, I found myself making small missteps that I hadn't prepared for. The reactions were subtle yet impactful on my confidence and my self-esteem. It's like you are speaking the same language, but you can feel that there is so much being unsaid and stuck between the lines. And it's the simple things that hit the hardest, like how direct or indirect your communication should be, understanding local humor, or as some may call it, passive aggressiveness, knowing when I can speak up or keep my thoughts to myself. All these things come naturally when you are in your homeland, but become so hard when you are abroad. Even to this day, 5 years later, I keep encountering the little reminders of how difficult it is to assimilate in the new country. I've lived in 3 different cities in Canada so far: Chatham, Toronto, and now Whitby, and every time it feels like starting over and over again to get a feel of the local culture and norms. Just last month, I was reminded that I'm still a foreigner. We moved to Whitby about a year ago, and I immediately signed up to a local soccer club as a free agent to find friends and stay in shape. Turned out there were so many free agents that the league created a brand new team, and guess what? Obviously, we lost the first 3 games because we've never played together before. So, after our 4th loss in a row, I said, guys, how about we train together during the week, get to know each other, improve our skills? Everyone nodded positively and complimented me for being proactive, so I continued. Great, soon we will start playing well as a team and we will start winning. That's where I immediately knew I said something wrong. Do you think I said something wrong? I noticed a change in facial expressions, and one girl said to me,
"Ooh, you're so competitive."
Yeah, winning feels nice. Needless to say that after several attempts to coordinate a group training session, nobody showed up to train, and we're still losing every game. Maybe in Canada they play all sports for the sake of playing and participating, not winning. But at the same time, my Toronto league was completely opposite. We had a strong team spirit, we encouraged each other, and we went to win 3 seasons in a row. But then again, that team was mostly Portuguese. These small cultural differences can also be applied in various professional settings, and that's where so many immigrants struggle the most. Many don't notice these subtle differences and end up constantly disappointed by not being recognized or promoted at work, because their teammates and leaders simply don't get us, and that leads to lack of trust. Or there are folks like me who are hypersensitive to the smallest reaction, and it gets to our heads, you know. One thing that slightly opened my eyes to the Canadian mentality is a deeper dive into Canadian education system, since that's where most of cultural and social norms are being established. You can check out an interview we did with an elementary school teacher up here, or follow the link below. Biggest lesson here: don't underestimate the impact of cultural differences and your ability to grasp them immediately after moving to Canada. It doesn't just take effort on your part, but also the time to understand how Canadians interact, work, and socialize. It's not just about learning the language, which is essential, or following the rules. It's about embracing the mindset and values that shape the way people live and work here. One way to improve your understanding of how Canadians communicate is to be more involved in community activities like my soccer club. You can participate in local community events, volunteer, gain local experience, and make more connections. Doing all that can help avoid misunderstandings, learn to read between the lines, and start thinking like a Canadian, build stronger relationships, and feel more at home in the new environment. Speaking of building stronger relationships, that's another thing. I knew about networking, but I initially networked just superficially, just to check the checkbox of networking, and that was a big mistake that took me years to realize. I assumed that my experience and qualifications would speak for themselves, and it would be enough to get my foot in the door when looking for a job in Canada. I did some light networking, and that helped me land my first job in Canada at Enbridge. By the way, if you want to hear exactly what I did, you can check out this video. But once I got that first job, I fell into a comfort zone and became content and complacent. I stopped attending industry meetups, lost contact with my early network in Canada, and completely stopped making new connections. I kept my head down and focused solely on the job at hand, thinking that hard work would eventually speak for itself. That was a big mistake, and when I started looking for the next role, I felt isolated and opportunities slipped through my fingers. The reality is that landing the right opportunities in Canada often depends not just on what you know, but who you know. Networking isn't just about making connections. It's about being a part of the community that can support you, share information, and open doors to new possibilities. Whether it's through LinkedIn, local meetups, or simply keeping in touch with your former colleagues, connecting with others makes all the difference in advancing your career and getting job offers without even looking for a job. I'm in a good place right now, but when the pandemic hit, it was stressful and scary. I had to work twice as hard just to restore some of those connections I had lost. Looking back, I wish I had made it a habit to build and maintain connections. If you want to avoid making the same mistake, set a reminder to yourself in your calendar to check with your network on a quarterly basis. And be on the lookout for new connections, be it in your neighborhood, your soccer buddy, or a random LinkedIn connection that shares interesting things on LinkedIn. Start building those relationships now. Get involved in your community, join professional groups, attend events, and put yourself out there. In Canada, networking isn't just a nice to have. It's a key to unlocking your potential and finding success in your career. So, what is everyone complaining about in Canada these days? That it's expensive and unaffordable, and that's just the reality we live in. One way to smoothen the blow of inflation and rising costs of living is to be invested in the broader economy. As prices go up and companies make more profits, your investments will too, and that helps create a more comfortable financial situation. When I first arrived in Canada, I was focused on settling in, looking for a job, of course, managing day-to-day expenses, and getting comfortable in the new country. I thought I would wait until I was more financially stable to start thinking about investing. I would tell myself, I don't have money to invest, I need to build a money cushion first. But in hindsight, that was a mistake. I started investing 3 years ago, and looking at my investment growth now, I realize how much money I have left on the table by not starting sooner. And we're talking about tens of thousands of dollars. Investing in Canada is more accessible than in my home country. RSPs, TFSAs, and more recently FHSA accounts help you grow your funds by providing a tax shelter up to a certain amount. The earlier you start, the more you benefit from compound growth. Here is what $10,000 would look like if I invested into S&P 500 in 2019 versus investing the same $10,000 in 2021. That's a sizable difference. Obviously, we had a market crash due to the pandemic and turbulent times, but as someone smart at some point has stated, time in the market beats time in the market. You don't need to be a financial guru or have a lot of money to begin investing. You just need to gain basic knowledge and give it a start. Even small, consistent contributions can grow into something significant over time. Shockingly, not everyone in Canada takes advantage of tax-sheltered accounts. Only 39% of Canadian population holds a TFSA account, and only 35% contribute to their RSP account. That's a lot of money left on the table. Looking back, I wish I had educated myself more and quicker about investment options in Canada and made it priority from the very beginning. If you're new to the country or just starting out, don't make the same mistake I did. Start investing as soon as possible, even if it's just $5 a day or $10 a week. If you don't understand it, open a managed account. Wealthsimple offers a low free managed investment account. All you have to do is just deposit your money regularly. They will do the rest. Follow the link I provided below to sign up for Wealthsimple account, and you will get a $25 bonus using my link, and I will get one too. Just a few clicks and you're on the right way to building your wealth. And if you want to learn more about TFSA and RRSP, we made a video about it, and you can find the link to it below too. FHSA is coming up soon. Now hear me out. Immigration is bad for your health. Immigration is one of the most difficult life experiences most immigrants will ever go through, and I implore you not to underestimate the toll it can take on your health. I underestimated my mental and emotional challenges of immigration. As a result, all that worsened my pre-existing condition and I ended up on a hospital bed. That's where I truly got the taste of the Canadian healthcare system. And I must admit, it wasn't as bad as many painted. But I suppose this story deserves a separate video. Let me know if you want to learn more about my experience with the healthcare system in Canada. Immigration is exciting, but it's also stressful. You're leaving your entire life behind, the people you love, the places you grew up in. In many cases, you're cutting all the ties with your home country. Everything is new to you: money, systems, language, mentality, food. You feel isolated for the first few years in Canada, especially if you're like me and you're moving alone. While it was exciting, it also brought stress, isolation, influenced my self-esteem, and put an invisible pressure on my physical health. Our health is a delicate balance of physical well-being, mental health, diet, sleep, and exercise. Neglecting just one aspect can cause everything to fall apart like a house of cards. Looking back, I wish I had prioritized my physical and mental health from the very start. I wish I wouldn't put as much pressure on myself as I did looking for a job. I wish I had taken things less close to heart and cared less about what others think. I wish I had eaten better, slept more, and exercised regularly. And I'm not alone. Gaining weight, losing confidence, and even getting depressed are common and are very real issues some immigrants face. Building a support system, whether through friends, community, groups, or professional counseling, is crucial in dealing with the ups and downs of immigration. Seeking mental health support and seeing a therapist isn't a sign of weakness. It's essential for maintaining your well-being as you navigate such a major life change. Just like you floss every day to prevent tooth decay, it's good to see a therapist to prevent mental decay. Hear me out. Taking care of your health is just as important as finding a job or a place to live. No success and money is worth it if you are not healthy enough to enjoy it to the fullest. Do you know what's one thing I by far regret the most? I regret not moving to Canada earlier in my life. Every single thing I've talked about so far could have been avoided or experienced differently if I were to move to Canada sooner. Moving to Canada wasn't actually my plan. I spent 3 years planning my immigration to Australia at first. Canada wasn't my first choice for immigration. And you know what? I truly regret that. I wasted a lot of time preparing to move to Australia. I ignored macroeconomic indicators, and surprise, surprise, Australian Prime Minister got impeached and my profession no longer qualified for PR in Australia. Had I done more research and focused on political and macroeconomic indicators, I would have moved to Canada sooner. The younger you are, the easier it is to assimilate, and the sooner you can succeed. Spending too much time on preparation may just close your window of opportunity forever. When you're younger, every burden feels easier, you take more risks, and your brain has more neural plasticity. If you're considering a major life change, don't delay it unnecessarily. Embrace the opportunity while you can. There are no ifs in history, hence all that speculating about what could have happened is irrelevant to the factual record of history. But if you are a newcomer or only planning your move to Canada, do not delay decision-making. Do your research and don't take things too close to heart. I hope this video helps you avoid making the same mistakes and set you on the right path of success, whether it means you decide to move to Canada or not. What's your biggest regret? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to get ahead of the game with your job search, I encourage you to sign up for the newsletter where we share weekly career tips and job postings. We started this channel as a side project to help newcomers succeed faster and avoid making the same mistakes that we did. It's a fully self-funded project that we do in our spare time. So if you want to support the work that we do, you can do so by joining our membership here or on Patreon. Or simply click the like button and subscribe. This will let YouTube algorithm know that we are doing a good job. See you in the next video and take care.